for the notification. This goddamn notification's taking a year today. All right, what's going on, everybody? The off season is over, and welcome back to a new season of NASCAR by the Numbers. The two hosts from before are back at it again with your normal, points paying. I don't even know. So let's just get on to it because I already screwed up the intro.
You're good to go, man. Hey, it's live. We're figuring this thing out. I had it on my page, and then I was back playing this. But anyways, we're back ready to roll. NASCAR by the Numbers is something that we a little bit started last year, and it's something we really want to do better at. This year's going to be an attempt to learn a lot, how we're going to do live and all that kind of stuff for World Racing Media. So I'm excited to be a part of it. Armani is. We've been talking about it. And, dude, I'm full-on hype. Obviously, you can see the flag in the back. I mean, that's all that really matters, right? We got the full Rainbow Warrior going on. Let me get my hat on. It's time to go, son. The Daytona 500 is today.
All right, so we're going to do a quick little review of Speed Week or Speed Weekend. We're going to do a quick little review of the weekend. Then we're going to give our Daytona 500 picks, playoff predictions, all that good stuff. So let's start off with the truck race Friday night.
Yeah, man, the Truck Series had the annual Next Era Energy 250 and really a little bit of a crazy race. First, we get going, some really good racing early to start off, and then we get a big wreck pretty early in the race. Todd Gilliland just forgot what the brake pedal was, kept pushing. The truck bobbled multiple times in front of him, and then eventually went around, and that would lead to a flip, an early flipper in the season. Tom Majeski, he goes over on his roof and never comes back down. So, Armani, I don't know if you got to watch the Truck Series race at all, but I'm sure you've seen a replay of this wreck. Pretty wild flip to go ahead and start the Truck Series season.
Yeah, I didn't get to see the race because work can exist for some reason. But I saw a couple replays of the wreck, and then it's like, I mean, I've seen that's probably the strangest he just stood on his we've seen a couple cars stay on their lid like Austin Dillon in 2015. There's probably a couple you can name out there, but he was on his lid for a long time. He kind of just slid, he was like a shell from Super Mario or something.
Oh, yeah, he kept sliding. He had to have slid like a quarter mile. Obviously, they ended up flipping the truck back over, so it ended up being all right. Glad Ty was all right, but pretty wild wreck to start off the day. And I feel like that kind of calmed the truckers down. It didn't because the trucks are so unstable, but it did. They were making moves, but nobody was really being stupid. Obviously, I know you didn't get to watch it, but I just want to give props. I mean, it was some of the most masterful Truck Series play driving I've seen in a long time. Those trucks were really unstable. They didn't want to line up with each other. But just a really good race ran by all from top to bottom. Really good race, side-by-side racing the entire night. They put on a show. You had your occasional spins here and stuff, which props to NASCAR for holding the yellow on those. There's no reason. They've been really consistent thus far this weekend. But just really good racing. But obviously, all good things, eventually come to an end. And that obviously happened with the racing in the Truck Series. And then we had – I'm not even going to call it the big one, the huge one. It just seemed like everybody was almost freaking involved. Did you end up seeing the replay of the big crash with Ben Rhodes?
I saw one replay of it, so I don't really got the best idea of it. But I know all I know is at the end there weren't that many trucks left at the race. So I said, I saw one replay, but I didn't really get a good view of it.
Yeah, they finally had gotten 3 wide. This was 4 or 5 ago. They finally got all 3 wide, the entire pack. And then Ben Rhodes, who may have some of the worst luck in NASCAR, every time that dude is leading a race, looks like he's going to win a race, it all comes crumbling down. But he's a good driver. It just always comes crumbling down. He gets turned right in the middle of the field, and then just madness ensued from that point on. But it would set up a pretty wild finish because obviously, if people don't know by now, it was Cinderella almost made an appearance on Friday night at Daytona. We get an overtime restart. Really good racing back and forth. Eventually, it's coming down the wire off of turn 4. The underdog per se of the Truck Series, Jordan Anderson, who's a lot of fans really started picking up on last year, really kind of emerged late in this race off of turn 4. He's pretty much locked bumpers with Enfinger at this point. Makes the move to the outside. It's starting to pass tri-oval. He tries to separate himself. Enfinger doorback ends up beating Jordan Anderson by 3 inches. And man, he's a South Carolinian. I really wanted to see him win. I know how important in that team, but He is a bridesmaid. I give really the first time ever he's ever finished second. Obviously, best career finish. And I know you've seen the replay of the finish. What a wild one, and what a heartbreaker, but also success story for Jordan Anderson.
It's top 10 of the race so far. 4 out of the top 5 career best finishes. You got obviously Grant Enfinger with the win, his third career win. In a way, it's like, you can tell, like people aren't, so many people are mad at Enfinger for door slamming Jordan Anderson. And I'm pretty sure those are the same people that think that the 2003 Darlington race was one of the best finishes of all time. So I don't know what to tell you there. But yeah, we talked about Jordan Anderson P2. I would have loved to see him win. I thought he was going to get it, even with the door slam. It's like, just because I guess Grant Enfinger, he was more on the bottom, so he had shorter way down the line. I mean, he finished. I mean, it proved to be worth. He beat him by 100th of a second. But the man who almost stole both of them the win away was, I'm probably going to butcher his name, Cody Rohrbaugh in the number 9 P3 finish. I mean, if he was just a little, if like they would have wrecked each other or something like that, if they both probably like slammed the wall like Bubba Wallace and Denny Hamlin did back in 2018, he probably would have ended up in victory lane. So he almost stole that win. I mean, I think the top 3 finished in less than 200ths of a second from each other. So that was crazy. Derek Kraus with the new team, Bill McAnally Racing. Obviously, they've been so dominant in the K&N series, K&N East or West series. Get to the Truck Series full time with Technical Alliance, with Hattori Racing. First outing out as a full team with Derek Kraus as a rookie. A P4 finish, can't really complain about there. Natalie Decker, P5 finish. Everyone knows how horrible she was last year. I mean, she didn't finish in the top 10 once. She only finished in the top 15 once. Only one lead lap finish. Constant DNFs. Like, it just looked like her career was over. Then she switched over to Nice Motorsports. And I'll give credit to Natalie Decker. Like in the ARCA race, she drove a very smart, conservative race. She was up at the front a lot. She was up in the back, avoiding all the wrecks. Not really any mistakes from Natalie Decker, just like in the ARCA race last week. And she salvages a P5 finish, her first top 5 finish, her first top 10 finish, and the highest finish of a truck series woman since, I believe, Jennifer Jo Cobb in 2011.
Oh yeah, I think it's the highest ever from the truck series period. I couldn't remember if it was Daytona. I think it's period she's got, which is obviously huge for Natalie. She's got a lot to prove in 2020. We've been hard on her. I've been hard on her. She's still, maybe it was a situation, maybe it was having to agree with every opportunity she's got, but definitely a first, good, impressive start to start the season for Natalie Decker at Nice Motorsports.
Oh, yeah. And just to round out the rest of the top 10, Austin Hill in P6, the winner from last year. Johnny Sauter in 7th, looking to have a comeback after a disappointing 2019 season. Ross Chastain, Sheldon Creed, and Jason White round out the top 10. Jason White with his career best finish of 10th place. And just for a little bit of extra, I guess, stats, Stage 1 was won by the pole sitter Riley Herbst. Stage 2 was won by the and Grant Enfinger did lead the most laps in 41 laps led. So while, I would like to see Jordan win, you can't say that Grant Enfinger did deserve this win.
Oh, yeah. Grant, man, I've said he's an underrated talent for so long. If he was 10 years younger, he'd be one of the hottest commodities in the garage. He's a little bit older. He took a little bit more time to get there, but Grant Enfinger's a great race car driver. And, he's going to have a great year this year. He will be a title contender.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
so let's just take a quick little. I'm not going to mention the top 10 points. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and take the top 5 points.
So I'm just going to quickly go. Yeah. I'm not going to mention the points. I'm just going to go with the playoff grid because that's really all that matters at this, especially now because, we just started the season. So the only one locked in is Grant Enfinger, obviously. Austin Hill, Johnny Sauter are the only 2 with double digits above the cut line, plus 15 and plus 12. Remember, the Truck Series expanded their grid to 10 spots instead of 8. So you got 2 more drivers that are able to get in on points or wins or however the hell they do it. Jordan Anderson is 4th plus 8, and Cody Rohrbaugh is plus 7. And if you just want the rest of the top 10, Derek Kraus plus 6, Natalie Decker plus 5, Moffitt plus 4, Sheldon Creed plus 3, and Jason White is tied for the cutoff spot with Tyler Ankrum.
Yeah, and one thing you got to remember is some guys will drop out of that quickly, obviously, because Natalie Decker's not even running full time. So that'll be a spot to watch for as well.
So those are your that's your little Truck Series review. Now let's move on to the Xfinity Series race that happened last year. I know you, I'm gonna let my man Will. Take the floor here because someone should have got a camera on him after the number 9 crossed the line.
The NASCAR Racing Experience 300. So, I was talking to Armani before that we got on here that the race, in a way, it felt flat, but it wasn't flat. I don't know if it was because it was daytime. I really don't know. I was also tired during this entire race. Because there were some big moments in this race, some big wrecks in this race, some really, really good racing. But there's not a ton of things you look back on and say, that really just thrilled me. But it was a really, really good race. You had the Austin Cindric and Jeb Burton crash where everybody got bundled up on the top because the 98, I believe, threw a little bit of a delayed block, and that jumbled everybody up and everybody wrecked. Riley Herbst, pulled a Riley Herbst. A lot of people were saying that guy's not ready. I'm not there to judge that. I don't know. I haven't seen Riley race enough. I know he's talented, but they were getting close to the end, and I literally looked at my nephew and said, somebody's about to do something stupid. Riley Herbst spins out in front of multiple cars, and then the very next moment. But anyways, at the end of what I cared about is my boy, who I've been waiting on, is Noah Gragson, and he finally gets that first Xfinity Series win. This year there's not a ton of identity in the Xfinity Series. I think Noah's could be one of the lead guys in that front. Obviously, you've got a couple of veterans like Justin Allgaier, and I don't want to call Austin Cindric a veteran. I'm trying to think of a better older guy. You got a guy like Ryan Sieg maybe, but there's not really like a fan favorite to me this year besides Allgaier or Gragson. So I think those guys are going to really make a push. But really, really good race for the most part. And obviously, I was watching the finish. Me and my nephew were jumping up and down because, first of all, Noah had a badass looking ride yesterday. And then second, he just paced himself. He was smart. Noah's going to have to take a step this year, especially if he wants to be considered for the 48 ride. I'm not saying he will be, but there's going to be a chance. He's with Junior Motorsports. He's got a fan base behind him. He's got sponsors behind him. Even though it's really needed with Ally Financial being on board full time. Noah, if he has a big year, has a shot at the 48 ride. And yesterday was obviously a first really, really good sign. So I was excited. He was excited. NASCAR butchered the victory celebration at the end of the race. But either way, the guy I call Swaggy Graggy gets his first Xfinity Series win.
So there's a little rundown of the Xfinity Series race. So I'll give you the top 10 results. So we had 4 drivers earn the career best finishes in this race, including Noah Gragson. Harrison Burton, who took over the ride for Christopher Bell in P2. I'm kind of surprised the Toyotas were really strong in this race. You don't really see Toyotas really be that fast in super speedway, especially recently. However, ever since last year, it seems like the Toyotas have they finally found it. Obviously, they don't really have the speed of qualifying, but come race day, I think they finally found, something where, they actually are able to compete. There's only really 2 instances you really had a Toyota really dominate a plate race, and that's the 2016 Daytona 500, the 2017 Geico 500. Even then, Toyota didn't really dominate; those were just Kyle Busch, and the 27 and last year's Daytona 500. So I'll give you the top 10 results. So obviously, Noah Gragson, Harrison Burton, Timmy Hill, my man Timmy Hill.
Timmy Hill qualifies for his first Daytona 500, finishes third in the Xfinity Series, and I believe we still haven't got a national television interview.
That's a damn shame, man. It's like, how do you – yet they – NASCAR, I guess NASCAR's kind of just like – it's like they have stories like this they can pull for, but then they just go for, the stories that are too obvious. So
Timmy Hill could win the Daytona 500, and they may skip victory lane.
To be honest. And right out of your top 5, Brandon Jones and Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe, I thought he had this race in the bag, but then, good push. Noah Gragson allowed Noah Gragson to get the win. Justin Haley in 6, he was my pick to win the race. Couldn't get it done. He had the strategy right, but I think, because 2 of the calling cars DNQ'd, which I heard that even Ross Chastain's, 10 car at the end of the qualifying blew up. I don't know what the hell that was all about.
I think they had some kind of hub issue. They tried something with the brakes, something I heard. I didn't watch it, but I heard it was some kind of parts failure. That's the reason they missed the race.
But obviously, Ross Chastain, he took over Jeff Green's ride, which I kind of, I said it on Twitter where it's like, that's what I like about the Xfinity series is that they don't have charters. So if you don't make it, tough shit.
Right. And I
But
like that
it
too.
doesn't annoy, and it doesn't annoy, but it does annoy me how Jeff Green basically like. Obviously, Jeff Green's basically said like, yeah, we'll do it, but
Yeah,
at
I
this
mean,
point, I don't care if you're running full
it's
time.
a little bit
Yeah, go
crazy.
ahead.
Both teams benefit. Ross gets to run full time because he's going to run for the championship. Jeff Green's team gets little bit of money. So I think it all pans out in the end for those guys.
Yeah.
So,
But obviously, like,
and I want you to finish reading this top 10. When you finish reading this top 10, I want people to pay attention to like 3 out of the 4 guys that finished in the top 10 and how big a deal it is for these teams.
all right, so Brandon Brown, my man Brandon Brown. I've been following him ever since like 2018. So my man Brandon Brown with the P7 finish. Ray Black Jr. with his career best finish of 8th. Ryan Sieg in 9th, and Alex LeBay in the 36 rounds out your top 10.
And LeBay led some laps. I know it was pit strategy, but LeBay led some laps and then eventually got a caution, and you never know what could have happened if he could have got up front. That's a guy that a lot of people are fans of, especially up north. And, he's with a solid race team. Obviously, he's kind of limited to what he can do. But LeBay, hey, he got to lead some laps, and that was pretty cool to see, yesterday afternoon.
There you go. And your stage 1 winners, Junior Motorsports dominated this race. Jeb Byrne won stage 1, Justin Allgaier won stage 2, and Myatt Snyder led the most laps with 26 laps led. He got caught up in that Riley Herbst wreck, which get used to seeing that 18 car wreck a lot this season. Just saying. Yeah, he it didn't look that bad, but like Myatt Snyder explained on Twitter like what happened to where he had to go to the garage. So I forgot what it was. I think it was something like the drive shaft got broke or something. So during that crash, so it was something like that. But shame for Myatt Snyder. Like he had it seemed like the Chevys had the superior package, the superior like speedway package, because you noticed a lot with the Chevys, especially. They were always able to consistently in the pack stay at least one or 1.5 car lengths ahead of the others. And I've noticed that. I thought it was just Myatt Snyder, but even saw a little bit with like Justin Allgaier. You saw with like Noah Gragson, Jeb Burton. You saw that a lot where it's like
I think a lot of that this year is going to be about pure strength in numbers and strength in talent. So there was only 2 Fords in that entire race, I believe I heard, and that was Cindric and Briscoe. So the Fords really don't have a lot of strength this year on the plate tracks. They don't have a lot of teammates. And then the Toyotas you got to look at are a lot of young drivers: Harrison Burton, Brandon Jones, Riley Herbst. They're all learning kind of on the spot. So those they don't have a lot of veterans there. With the Chevrolets, you have all of Junior Motorsports. All of those guys are either veterans making a return. They're all running really, really good, and I think that's what you're going to see at all the plate tracks for those guys this year.
So let's give a look at the top 10 in points. I'm not. You can look up the actual point standings if you want, but I'm just gonna do the ones who are actually locked in the playoff grid. So Justin Allgaier, obviously he's locked in. Wait a minute.
No is the only official lock.
Oh, here we go. Wait. Yeah, here we go. Okay, I read it wrong. My bad. So here's who's locked in. Noah Gragson, obviously, with the win. Justin Haley is plus 21 above the cut line. Harrison Burton plus 13. Brandon Jones plus 11. Brandon Brown plus 10. Along with Ryan Sieg and Michael Annett. It's a 3-way tie for 4th place. Then you got Chase Briscoe plus 9. Jim Burton plus 7. Ray Black Jr. plus 4. Alex LeBay plus 4. And JJ Yaley is tied for the final spot with Justin Allgaier. Obviously, Jim Burton, he's not running the full season. Ray Black Jr. full season. So Alex LeBay, I don't even know. I'm pretty sure like 3 or 4 of these guys in the top 12 of the playoffs aren't even running the full season. So you can take those guys basically out of it. You can put guys like Allgaier or Annett or Cindric in already.
Oh yeah. But I like how we're giving a little bit of a playoff grid. And now we're going to transition a little bit. So we've done the reviews of the 2 races this past week. This is something me and Armani have been waiting for a while. And people, you should sit down for this. Hopefully you're watching live with us right now. It is time for Cup Series playoff predictions. So what me and Armani are going to do is we have them listed from like least shocking to most shocking. Most of these guys are kind of a big tie for who's really not shocking to make it. We're going to save our biggest kind of shocker picks for last. So Armani, what we're going to do is you give your first 4 in, I'll give my first 4 in, and then we'll just do it in chunks of 4. And I figure it'll work that quickly. Give a little bit of bits about why you have those guys in. I'll do the same. I'll let you go first.
All right, so my first four I got locked in are they're pretty obvious. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano. Kyle Busch, there is no explanation. I mean, Kyle Busch could run an NBN car and still make the playoffs at this point. Kevin Harvick, same thing. Even though SHR, they kind of took it down. They took a pretty big downturn last year, a lot bigger of a downturn than I thought they would, especially with the Mustang. But Harvick is Harvick. He had the second most top tens last year. Harvick is going to skip a beat. And then Denny Hamlin, after career resurgence, I think that crew chief change is basically what he needed. And we're really going to find out this season. That's what the Team Penske cars really needed this season. It's obviously still worked for Joey Logano because he won his duels. So, and that goes again to Joey Logano. Those four. I mean, if you really want to put a fifth, Mark Truex Jr. also, even though he's working with new crew chief James Small, Truex said he's a lot like Cole Pern and kind of like how Jimmy Johnson has a lot of faith in Cliff Daniels. Truex seems to have a lot of faith in James Small. So, I mean, it's plus Truex is a JGR car. So, I mean, it's like I said, you could base those five are a lock no matter what. You can make an argument why any of them would make Homestead or not Phoenix, not Homestead, Phoenix.
Better get that right.
That's going to take some time getting used to. This is going to take a lot of time getting used to.
Oh, yeah. So my first four getting in, really, like I said, there's literally the first 10 or 12 are already tied, but I just tried to put the least obvious in first. My first four, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski. Again, Keselowski could be switched with any of the other stars I'll mention a little bit later. Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. If you did listen to one of my previous prediction videos, I have those two making the and by the way, Denny Hamlin's car chief got ejected. That's kind of just breaking news. He failed twice. But anyways, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Keselowski. Kyle Busch and Harvick, they're kind of obvious. I predicted them to go to the Final Four again. I predicted Kyle Busch to be the champion. So obviously he's going to make it. Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski, they're just kind of obvious. Logano's going to make it. Keselowski's going to make it. They're both going to win races. So it's obvious to have those four in. All right, Armando, who's your next four?
Right, give me a second. You gotta get that water bottle. You can see I'm really prepared for this. All right, so my next ones are Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch, Chase Elliott, and Kyle Larson. Keselowski, again, he's kind of obvious. Keselowski's been starting to get really inconsistent as of late. I mean, last year was his first time since I believe 2011 or 2013 where he had a less than 20 top 10. I mean, he had 19, which is still a good amount. But Keselowski, he's either setting the world on fire or he being non-existent. So I think this crew chief change where it's Jeremy Bolins, which he does have the weakest crew chief now of the three, but Jeremy Bolins and Brad Keselowski had great chemistry, especially in the Xfinity series. So that might be able, especially now Jeremy Bolins has a couple years of Cup experience. I really think it's going to help. Especially help. I think that's what Brad Keselowski needs. So, not really a reset, but more of a rejuvenation. And I think this crew chief change is really going to help him. My next one, Kurt Busch. He probably would have made it to the round of 8 if he didn't have a horrendous first round. I mean, the first round, he didn't really do anything. Especially after Las Vegas, he kind of just said, okay, we're going to get eliminated, whatever. But it's Kurt Busch. He's one of the most consistent guys in the garage. It's not exactly outright dominant. He'll get a shit ton of top 10s. He'll get that one win that he needs, and then he's all set. He's always in that 6th to 9th range of the points. So I think, he's going to do the same thing this year. Chase Elliott. I feel like I'm one of the only guys who thought that last year was kind of a disappointment for Chase Elliott. I mean, yeah, he got his 3 wins. He led a lot of laps. I think he led the most laps out of any season, like over 600, but only 15 top 10s, 6 DNFs, I believe. And his last top 10 of the season was at Kansas. He finished outside the top 30 in the entire round of 8 and 15th at Homestead. So the ending to the season, and Chase Elliott, he was so inconsistent. This is probably the most inconsistent season. He was very consistent in the first half, and then he had that top 5 stretch after his Talladega win. Then during the summer, he had an average finish of 20-something, in the 20s, which is horrendous, before his Watkins Glen win. And then he started to pick the pace back up. And then after the Roval win, it kind of again, went back just kind of being downhill. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Chase Elliott's your guy, so you tell me.
Yeah, Chase Elliott is actually my next 4 is Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, and Ryan Blaney. Chase Elliott did have a rough year, really bad luck streak in the playoffs. The dude is better than that. He knows he's better than that. The team knows they're better than that. But Chase Elliott, I've said before, as big as a fan of his as I am, I've got to see more in the postseason, which obviously you would think naturally this year's postseason is probably better than last. But moving forward, obviously we talked about Chase. Martin Truex, he's going to make it. I have predicted he's going to have a little bit of a slight drop-off without Cole Pern, but he's going to make it. Denny Hamlin's obvious. And then I claim this year that Ryan Blaney is going to finally win multiple races in a season for the first time this year. Had to put him in the playoffs. I think Blaney's going to have a really good year with Todd Gordon. I think it's going to be a good move for him. I think Blaney, maybe the crew chief may have been holding him back. I've complained about his consistency before, but I think he's going to get it straight this year. Now, we've got 8 and 8 knocked out, and I'm already going to warn you, and I'll let you try to think of who it is. You've already got one driver in that I'd have out, so we'll go ahead and keep that spoiler there. But looking at the final 8, we'll do our next 4. I'm going to go first on this round, and I know you will. We'll go back and forth because we're starting to cut at ties. We only got 8 more drivers, and like I said, I've told people, I think there's 24 teams that I think can make the playoffs this year. Obviously, 16 make it. My next 4, Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, Eric Jones, and William Byron. Obviously, I predicted Byron gets his first win this year, so he's going to make it in. People who assume that I hate Alex Bowman, but I've said Alex Bowman is good enough to make the playoffs every year. He'll be back. Kyle Larson is going to get missing the playoffs, and it could be a big year for Eric Jones.
All right, so my next ones are Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, William Byron, and Eric Jones. Kyle Larson, especially, he started to really turn it up after last year, especially after that Dover win. So I think Kyle Larson, he's finally going to start getting back on track, especially because I hear the drivers are actually thinking that this new Camaro is actually doing better for them. So I think it's going to help benefit Kyle Larson. I don't think Kyle Larson is going to ever really get on that championship pedestal, at least not for a long time. But I think if he can at least get to that Kurt Busch level where he's like 6th to 9th in points all season, where I think is where Kyle Larson is going to be. I think he will sneak in a win or two also in that process as well. Ryan Blaney in 10th. I also believe that he's going to have a career resurgence with Todd Gordon as a crew chief. It's a championship crew chief. Ryan Blaney, I still think that he's immensely talented. And even last year, he beat Chase Elliott in points. He was 7th in points, tied with Kyle Larson for points. He had an average of 13. Obviously got the Talladega win, won the best plate races in the field. He led the most laps in the 2018 Daytona 500. And he had 18 top 10s, 11 top 5s. So, the first half of the year was kind of, iffy. But once the playoffs got around, he really started to turn it up a bit. And you could have, if he had a little bit more playoff points in the bank, you could make an argument of him going to Homestead last year the way he performed in the round of 8. So, I got Ryan Blaney on 10th. William Byron, I have an 11th. I also believe William Byron. I think William Byron's immensely talented. You see what he did in the Xfinity and the Truck Series. You see what he did in the lower series. And his rookie season was horrible. But now that he got Chad Canales as a crew, he was only 1 point behind being the top. He was only 1 point behind Chase Elliott in the point standings. Had William Byron just not finished 39th, he would have finished 38th or 37th, or Chase Elliott would have finished 18th. William Byron would have beaten Chase Elliott in points, and that would have been actually Chase Elliott's first time finishing outside the top 10 points. So, I think William Byron will get a win this year, whether it's during the playoffs or after or before the playoffs. I don't 100% know yet, but I do think it's going to happen. And then Eric Jones. Eric Jones been getting a lot of flack because the people who shit on Eric Jones were the same people that shit on Denny Hamlin after Denny Hamlin had his win. When Denny Hamlin went winless in 2018, get rid of Hamlin, get rid of Hamlin. And what's funny is they never picked on Eric Jones because they were like, oh, Eric Jones, he just did his second season with JGR. Why would you kick him out? He needs time to grow. And literally, as soon as Hamlin won the Daytona 500, everyone was like, get Eric Jones out of the right. Put Christopher Bell in right now. It's like, so I kind of been a fan of Eric Jones really ever since he went into the Cup Series in 2017. Mm-hmm. I think he has the potential to be a champion. I think he's that talented, especially with a team like JGR. I think if he stays at JGR, I think Eric Jones is going to need a breakout season if he wants to stay. Unless Truex or Kyle Busch suddenly retires out of nowhere, it's really going to be between Bell and Jones who stays in that 20, who gets that 20 car. But I think Eric Jones, he's going to prove why he deserves that 20 car.
Yeah, I think he is going to too, and I just think the 95 team is going to be a team that Bell can stay with for a little bit. But final 4, and these are the fun ones, folks. These are what you pay the money or pay nothing, watch for free to hear. Here are the final four that I've got in the playoffs, and there's going to be some hurt feelings because there's some big name drivers out, and I'm going to read those right after I read the final four. My final four: 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson. I predicted he finds victory lane again this year. He'll make it in. Chris Buescher. I predicted he makes the playoffs this year outright by points. Buescher's going to get in. Cole Custer and Christopher Bell are my last two. I predicted two rookies get in. Those are who they are. Cole Custer, Christopher Bell. Big names that you're typically used to hearing in the playoffs. Here's who I have, big names that are on the outside looking in. 1, Eric Almirola. 2, Ryan Newman. 3, Kurt Busch. And 4, Clint Boyer. Those 4 will not make the playoffs this year based on these predictions. Armani, who you got? And I'm sure you've got a rabbit. You're getting pulled out of the hat. I'm sure you've got one for me. What you got?
Well, all right. So in 13th, I, of course, have my boy, 7-time champ Jimmy Johnson. In 14th, I have probably one of the most disrespected drivers last year, Clint Boyer. In 15th, I got one of the fan favorites, Matt Benedetto. And I changed the pick, but I'm gonna stick with it because I guess it's my new I what I'm known for my wild ass predictions. Front row Joe Jr. himself, John Hunter Nemechek, is gonna make the playoffs, and I have a reason.
Don't advocate it, folks.
Now let me explain. Johnson.
Tell me what in sweet baby Jesus' world made you think John Hunter Nemechek is going to make the playoffs?
All right, let me explain. I might as well start off with my man front row Joe Jr. I mean, those 3 races that he ran for Front Row Motorsports were probably the best. Were the best that 36 car ran all season long. No disrespect to Matt Tiff. Obviously, I believe maybe his health is like maybe one of the main reasons he's kind of like going back a bit. Matt Tiff is really the most talented driver in the world. He never won a race. And he's like a downgrade of Daniel Hemrick. He never won a race in any of the national series. And John Nemechek, I think he was like 21st at Texas. He was like, I think in the top 20 at Phoenix at Homestead too. I don't 100% know yet. So he could adjust quickly to these Cup cars. And another thing is, kind of like Ross Chastain, he does a lot of seat time. Like, he'll run whatever truck races he can, whatever Xfinity races he can, and obviously he's going to run the entire Cup Series season. But the number one thing I have John Hunter Nemechek making the playoffs is I'm kind of giving away a race prediction that's not going to happen all the way till September. I have him winning the final cutoff race of the regular season at Daytona.
God. That's bold, son. That's bold.
Hey, Chris Buescher won at Pocono in 2016. You tell me that front row Joe Jr. can't win at Daytona with a front row car, which are known to be strong at play tracks?
He might win today. So,
all right.
I told you when we did this to have one alternative. So, if you can take one driver out and put one driver in. So, one driver that you didn't predict to make the playoffs, you could put him in, but you got to take one out. Mine are, I'll put Kurt Busch in and I'll take out Chris Buescher. Who's yours?
Well, I mean, mine's kind of obvious. I'll take out front row Joe Jr. And I don't know if any of y'all caught this, but I don't have Alex Bowman making the playoffs, so I'll put him in.
Maybe they'll send some of the hate your way.
I'm sorry, man. But it's like,
I had someone get mad at me because I said after the duels I didn't think we had seen the best of Alex Bowman.
You have a target on your shoulder, man.
I do. Anyways, because I know the show's getting a little bit longer than expected, I want to go ahead and get into it. Our final topic. So I want to give some cool things about the Daytona 500, and then we'll get out of here, and everybody can look forward to the race today. So I thought it was really cool. So there are 7 active Daytona 500 winners racing today, and that is Kurt Busch, Austin Dillon, which still blows my mind, Kevin Harvick, Ryan Newman, Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin, and Joey Logano. Of those that are excluded that have not won a Daytona 500, we have 3 champions. So 3 guys that have won the premier prize in all of NASCAR, but have not won. If the championship may be 1A, the Daytona 500 is 1B. and that is Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex Jr. They've all never won a Daytona 500. I thought that was really, really cool. And so here we're gonna give our picks, Armani. I'm gonna let you go first. And I know you come up with some wild stuff, but this is something that you've said you've had for a while. I can't remember if you told me or not. I don't remember it if you did. So this is still gonna be my first time hearing it. Actually, no, I think I do remember. I'm gonna call you out if it's not who you said it was. So here you go. Armani, the table is yours. Who in approximately 6 to 7 hours, who is going to be crowned the winner of the 2020 Daytona 500?
Y'all know my relationship with this driver, especially after last year. Kind of like where I got my persona for, dumbass predictions. So, like I said, I've had this prediction for a while. Kevin Harvick's going to be a 2-time Daytona 500 champion.
Woo! Proud of you. That's a good pick. That is a good pick. Do you have any reason why you feel good about Harvick?
I don't know. I just especially after his performance last year in the super speedways, he hasn't really been that flashy as of this week, but I think he's gonna have a shot. He's starting, I think, inside the top 5, or inside the top 10, one or the other. So Harvick's one of the most underrated plate racers out there. Obviously, he won the race in 2007. So Danny's like, "What about our boy?" He's got Jimmy Johnson actually one of the fastest cars on the track this week, so don't be surprised to see Jimmy Johnson in victory lane again. But that 4 car is due for a second Daytona 500, kind of like how Ryan Hunter-Reay and Scott Dixon are due for a second Indy 500, and I think this year is going to be Harvick's chance.
All right, here we go. I'm going to lay out the table. I'm going to lay out the scene. This driver has 28 starts at Daytona, so obviously that would mean that 4 of them or 14 of them have become in the Daytona 500. In those, he has 2 wins. Both of those wins have come in the Daytona 500. He has 8 top 5s, 9 top 10s at Daytona with a 12.97 average finish. That all sounds terrible, except for the 2 wins. Here's the good part. This driver has finished in the top 5 6 of the last 8 Daytona 500s. The winner of the 2020 Daytona 500, to many heartbreak of many fans, even myself, because of the reputation, or at one point, the issue he had with my favorite driver. The winner of the 2020 Daytona 500 will be none other than hashtag Dennis the Menace. Denny Hamlin will win his 3rd career Daytona 500 today in the number 11 FedEx Toyota Camry. Said it. And after all of that, I have no confidence because anything can literally freaking happen because there's 40 cars that are going to race today. But if I'm laying my money down, it was hard not to pick the 9 car because I think he's got a bad, fast ride. All of Hendrick Motorsports has bad rides. Dennis the Menace, Denny Hamlin will win the Daytona 500 today.
Here's a driver that I think people are kind of sleeping on for this 500. Clint Bowyer. He's been pretty fast so far this speed weeks.
He did cross my mind the other day. There's rumors this could be his last kind of go at it. Those are rumors, just small rumors. And he really wants to win one. And he's pretty much kept it clean all week. It'll be fun to watch. But before we get out of here, because I know we only got about a minute or so left, I got one last thing to do, son. And that's to keep digging, son.
Oh, no.
That's to keep
God
digging.
God damn it. Retire. Delete.
Everybody, there we go. This is what it all matters right there. But anyways, thank you, everybody, for watching the first episode of 2020 NASCAR by the Numbers. Obviously, we want your feedback. We want your comments. We know there's things we did well. We know there's things we didn't do well. We want to learn what those are so we can make the show shorter, make it more concise. We want to hear what you want to hear. Armani, what else you got to say before we get to the greatest day in racing?
Timmy Hill, P2 finish.
All right. I'm going on that note right there. We're finishing second. With that being said, folks, I'm out of here. I'll see you next time.